stand in your truth. Every voice matters, yeah, we see you. Love who you are, let the world know. This is your moment, let your light glow. More than a story, more than a name. We break the silence, rewrite the frame. Autism, neurodivergence, every mind shines bright. Mental health, self-love, stepping into the light. For the parents, the dreamers, the ones who push through. Auesomely you, we celebrate you. Auesomely you, we rise, we shine. Vowing voices, breaking the lines. This ain't just a podcast, this is a move. Celebrating every story, making room. For the ones who speak in ways they don't understand. For the hearts that love big, for the ones who take a stand. For the ones who see the world in a different way. We amplify your voice, let the world hear what you say. Every challenge, every win, every step you take. You are seen, you are loved, this is your space. No more silence, no more fear. Auesomely you, we're standing here. We are the voices, we are the change.
Hey, you guys, welcome to season 2 of Auesomely You podcast. I know you guys are like, what? Season 2? Yes, we are here already. And season 2 is about to be amazing because we're about to interview somebody who is awesome. She's an awesome mom, such as myself, and she's really trying to make a difference in the world that we live in today. Let me introduce her. But let's get into her bio first, y'all. So, she go by Autism Mom Joy on Instagram. She's the founder of Project BAM Inc., a better approach to autism and mental health. Her goal is to raise mental health awareness globally in hopes to help assist with better interactions with first responders and educators. She's also working on a better method to train caregivers and assist with more affordable therapies. And I think that's amazing. If you in this community, you know we most definitely need everything that Miss Joy is trying to work on. So Miss Joy, I want you to introduce yourself, tell them who you are, and please tell them about your mission.
First off, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Auesomely You is an amazing organization, and it's awesome that you started this. So I am Autism Mom Joy. I am a cement truck accident survivor. I am a lupus warrior or conqueror, as I should say. And I am also a mother of 3. One of my children has autism. And aside from autism, he also has delayed myelination and several other health barriers that we will conquer through. And the purpose for Project BAM is a better approach to autism and mental health. So many times we see people that are struggling. We find individuals who are dealing with problems, but there's not really any solutions. And so when my family and I experienced a horrific event with law enforcement, it just further pushed me to see that there are so many things that are needed out here. You have so many situations where law enforcement encounters with individuals with mental illness, whether it be mental crisis or situations where individuals may have anxiety, autism, PTSD. Those encounters are never, oftentimes, do they end well. And it's because of the lack of training. A lot of times you have issues where people have ego problems, and that's something that we can't correct, but we can offer trainings and just to encourage people to simply be kind. A lot of times people forget that we are all human. We all go through things. And just because you have autism does not mean that you are not designed to be treated fairly, to be treated equally, to be treated with respect. And first and foremost, show some compassion, and being able to have the integrity. And so my main focus with Autism Mom Joy platform initially was to provide resources. I'm very big on helping people find grants, very big on building a community of people to first and foremost make sure you know you're not alone. When I started this journey with regards to our son having autism, it was something that was new. I mean, we all knew growing up there was children that may have been in special needs, or you may have known there were special education classes and things of that sort, but nobody ever really knew the solution to actually help somebody. And so over the course of the years, trying to advocate for my son to get speech therapy, advocating for him to get ABA, trying to figure out what did he need and how could I better help him, assisting with diet changes, all those things, and also encountering so many stressful situations because of him being a twin survivor. It was just a lot of frustration. It was a lot of the emotion of feeling like, what did I do wrong? That helpless, hopeless emotion that you get as a mom, trying to figure out what more could you do, not really having many resources. I felt the need with everything collectively over the years of trying to advocate for my child, as well as the horrific events that our family encountered with law enforcement. Navigating through the school system with a special needs child was not easy for us. I wanted to build a platform where we actually were open and we talked about these things, because one of the biggest issues that we have is that families, especially a lot of the moms, we're worried about being judged. And a lot of times it's because we're gaslighted when we ask for help. So I wanted to have Autism Mom Joy platform to allow families to feel comfortable having those discussions that most people don't want to have. And I consider my platforms a no judgment zone. And the reason why is because the more you judge people for their story in terms of how they handle their autism situation, the more likely it is for families not to ask for help. And that is what leads to catastrophic events where you have the mom or the dad or whomever, they lash out, they have nervous breakdowns, they go into depression. You've had cases where people have harmed themselves, they've harmed other people, all of those things. And you don't want that, because you want a space to where people feel like they're not alone. And if they don't have resources, or they're not having the things that they need financially, or the things that they need in terms of like respite care or ABA therapy or things of that sort, not letting finance be a factor. So having a platform to where people are even willing to go as far as to helping people get grants or making donations to people when they're going through those things. Same thing with like iPads, AAC devices. There is no reason a child who is unable to speak should go without an AAC device. And even if they can speak, when it comes to autism, even though you can speak, you may have some communication barriers. So you may not be able to get your words out clearly, or you may have trouble saying or pronunciating certain words. Some children or adults even struggle with the way that they hear and interpret things. So if you have that AAC device, even if you can read or write or you can speak, you still may need some additional help. So I just feel like no child or adult who has a communication barrier of any sort should have to not have an AAC device or iPad because of money. So Project BAM, I am hopeful. My ultimate goal is to bring forth all the resources. I want to bring together holistic approach. I want to bring on pharmaceutical medication if that's what a person believes or that's the route they want to go. I want to have those resources available. Being able to have people in place to help with affordable AAC devices, iPads, tablets, and then ultimately trying to connect and collaborate with a security system company to offer more affordable home security systems, because a lot of times families who are dealing with elopement, they simply can't afford their bill each month because it's entirely too much for them to afford how much it would be for the equipment, how much it would be in terms of paying their monthly bill. So there's so many things, offering the additional caregiver trainings, all of those things. And so when you think of it, it's a whole lot, but I feel like we have to start somewhere. And I've chosen to start with educators, caregivers, first responders. We all have to get on the same page. What I've noticed in my area is that in terms of law enforcement and people with autism and then the caregivers, one of the biggest problems is, let's say that a child or an adult, maybe 18 with autism, gets upset about something and they have a meltdown. So in my area, there's not a protocol when something happens. So let's say that that child breaks something in the house. They get upset, they break something, everybody's frustrated. If the police is called, they come out, they make an arrest. And the problem with that is you have a lot of individuals who are 17, 18, they're able to get jobs, but because they've taken so many 911 calls and they now have criminal records, these young individuals are not able to keep employment now being age 20, 25, because when they were 16, 17, 18, their family was calling 911, the neighbors were calling 911, and there was never a protocol put in place for the emergency personnel to say, hey, wait, this person has autism, bipolar disorder, ADHD, whatever the case may be. There has to be a better and more effective approach rather than us just arrest them, give them a criminal background, and now they're not even able to seek employment. Even if you have a level of autism that's just simply able to bag groceries, they can't even do that because they now have such a bad criminal record of being destructive, of obstruction of an officer, or whatever the case may be. They now have a criminal record. And then you wonder why these children are not working, or whether they're young adults, they're not able to get out in here and do anything. And so you find that some of the individuals with autism are actually still on SSI that could actually work now, but they're on the SSI because they never were given an opportunity to go and work anywhere because they developed a criminal record when they were younger. So what I'm trying to do is first figure out a way to get a program put in place, not just in my state, but worldwide. This is a problem.
I
Just
agree. It
yesterday.
is a problem worldwide because I can see that. And with you taking on this initiative, that is a big burden to feel, but somebody has to do that burden. Somebody has to start somewhere. So, have you been to the state and started to work on the bill for your state for that can pass, and then you can go to the national level?
So as of right now, I have started locally. So just about maybe over the last month. So I have met with my city. We've had a conversation. We're scheduling a town hall meeting. I have gone to the news team in my local area. So I aired on the news last week. And then we did a talk show where I talked about all of the things that I was concerned about, what my goals were. And I'm actively working on getting sponsors. And I have reached out to senators, I have reached out to local officials and state officials to work on getting the bill passed, that kind of thing. But that part of it, I have not gotten to that stage because I just now got 28,000 signatures on the petition, which has done phenomenally well. So I am using the signatures that I have from the petition. I wanted to get those numbers as high as I could so that when I present it to the state rep, I am able to get a sponsor that's going to help me to take this on further to get the bill passed. And I want to say there's like a certain deadline or dates and that kind of thing in terms of getting that information out there and getting it into the Senate. And so for me, because I also have lupus myself and I deal with spinal cord trauma from being hit by a cement truck, it has been physically challenging. A lot of the things I've been doing virtually, I've been having to mail things, and a lot of times it's hard to get things done when you don't have somebody right there in person advocating. So getting on the news recently was a really big thing that did open up the door for some of the people to see what I needed to be seen. And then I did get some correspondence back from different officials through email recently. So I'm hopeful that over the upcoming months, we can kind of put together some things. I can get everything kind of put into a better format. I do have a proposal. I did present a budget plan to my local city, and that is going to be for the development of caregiver cards and envelopes to go into everybody's vehicles. And on that, it would just say their name, the conditions that they may have, and the best way for law enforcement to approach the situation if they were pulled over. It would also give emergency contact information. For example, if somebody suffered with seizures and let's say they were passed out behind the wheel, inside their dashboard, it would be documents showing, hey, this person has autism, they are high functioning, they are able to drive on their own. However, they suffer with seizures. This is the protocol you need to take. This is who you can contact. In the event that it's an adult with a child with autism who may be nonverbal, it would just say, in the event of emergency, hey, these are the things that we need for you to do. Please do not demand this person out of their car because they have an elopement risk, all of those things. So I'm working on getting that. And I've had a lot of support, but I've also had a lot of negativity in the midst of it, where when I reached out to the school system to try to say that, we needed to encourage more trainings for the educators, because although there are trainings in the school system and in law enforcement, a lot of it is outdated and a lot of it just does not match current times. And I can remember when my son was in school, there was one teacher and she was phenomenal with him. Whenever he was having a bad day, even if he was in a good mood or a bad mood, she was just right there able to help. But on the days when she was off work, when I tell you the school was calling me, oh, your son
It's
don't.
day and night. So do you got any pushback with you trying to work on this? Because it's everybody in our community ain't nice. I'm just gonna
No.
be honest. Some people in our community are about them. Some people in our community think that we use our kids as a way to get clout.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I have never been told that personally, but I have seen, and I'm autistic. I have seen, I'm a late diagnosed, but I have seen autistic individuals attack when people use the word autism mom, or they're using their kids' diagnosis and not realizing we're trying to make a better future for our kids, because our kids need, we're not going to be here forever. So we have to create the society for them to grow up and be amazing. That's why I created Auesomely You. Auesomely You was created because I need him to be able to have a job. I need him to be able to hire people like him who is nonverbal. I need him to be able to make. When I say this platform is bigger than me, it's so much bigger than me and what the vision God gave me. But back to your bill, I'm in the process of trying to get a bill passed in Georgia myself, so I understand what you're saying, because it's a lot to get it, try to get it sponsored, get it picked up by a rep, a state representative, and then have them walk it to the floor. And it may not pass the first time, which is okay, because then they're gonna tell you what you need. So, how far have you got in that process? Have it been walked to the floor yet, or are you still in the? You haven't been walked to the floor. Okay.
It has not been walked to the floor. So the only thing that I've done so far is I started a petition. And when I started the petition, my target goal at the time was like 1,500 signatures. I just wanted 1,500 signatures to present to my local city council. And when I got to that stage, I started to look into like all of the things that it required to get a bill passed. And I said, I want to present this to the White House and present this to the state with high numbers, because numbers speak volume. And when you come with a lot of support behind you and you show statistics, I felt like it was going to be awesome. So what I've done so far, the petition is at 28,000 signatures now.
Are you saying
So
28,000 or 2,800?
28,000.
Okay, so is that from all? Is that just
So that's
locally?
global. So
That's
that's so
okay.
that's global. So then I found out that you have to narrow it down to your state and to your local. And I wasn't aware of that. So I made some edits. And so what I did, I went into the petition and I went through the signatures and I selected out, like it'll show you what state they're from. So I have a printout that I presented to my city. So with the city, they wanted to do like a talk show. They wanted to do a meeting. So I did the first talk show. That was last week, and that aired on our local news. So they did.
So
They
how
did
many how many um how many senators do you have locally for your bill?
so 2,000 and something is what the last that I saw. It was like 2,000.
Okay,
And so
that's still a good number. Can
globally, it was like
20?
it was 28. I want to say it was like 28,050 or something like that. But I have not
That's
gotten
amazing.
to the point where I haven't gotten to the point where I've gotten like the state legislative and that kind of thing. I haven't gotten them to get anything started or a bill
What
passed or
state are you in?
anything. We are in the same state.
Oh, we're both in Georgia. Okay.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that either. But yeah, we're in the same state. So I haven't gotten
I
that.
got a little bit further than you. I got a state representative. So
Yeah. So I haven't even the only person that I have spoken with, I did speak with Warnock, and I did speak with spoke with another rep about something. I forget who it was, but this was before. See, everything kind of happened real fast. This came to me one night in the bed, and I was like, I'm gonna start a petition in reference to the events that happened to my companion during a horrific traffic stop with a law enforcement officer in Houston County. So I started a
do you mind
petition.
touching on that just for people who want to know a little
Sure.
bit about that? Because I have this thing, and I can be super transparent on this platform. I wrote a book. I have not published it yet. And it's literally talking about a black boy and an officer, because I feel how you feel. I feel that, first off, I have a black son. So that's strike one. Strike two is he's autistic. Strike three, you may pull him over and he may act out and you don't understand that he's not processing what's going on. So I'm like, oh my God. So, and I want to say that Georgia is not well versed when it comes to first responders. And I have talked to police before. Georgia is not well versed when it comes to the hospitals, none of that, because we're afterthought. It's an afterthought. And I think the numbers are so high. And when I say high, I want to retract what I said. The awareness is so amazing that now kids are being diagnosed with autism. So when I say high, I'm not talking about, oh my God, it's a no, I'm not on that wave. I think people haven't realized back then there was no awareness. I think the number is so high that we don't have the resources, we don't have the training. I do think we have the funds in Georgia. It's up to people like you and I to rewrite the narrative. It's up to us to honestly go to the state capitol. If anybody's listening to this, I want you guys to start going to your state capitol. I want you to learn who your representative is for your district, and you start there. Once you start there, you get them to pick up your bill, and then it's more process than that I think is a lot to go over. But after you do that, then you start to work on it. So I commend you. I know I signed yours. I didn't know it was in the same state, but we mean you got to go to the state capitol together. I go to the capitol, honey, and I be advocating.
And that's what
Um,
I feel like. If I feel like when I started all of this, it was like in after the midst of my cement truck accident and dealing with
mhm,
lupus and then raising a special needs kid is so much. So in
mhm.
terms of like physical limitations, I had to learn how to rewalk again. I had to learn so many things from my accident. It put me into a crippled state from a standpoint of going to the Capitol or going here or going there. And so I feel like in terms of that, that's where people feel like, oh, well, she probably doesn't let this go. She's not going to do anything. Or they felt like, oh, well, what we did was okay. When in actuality, no, it's not. There were some things that I've been working on the back end and putting together. It's just going to take a little more time to get everything structured the way that I would like. And you did ask me a question. You wanted me to touch on the incident with my companion. So that traffic stop, pretty much, I was at home. My son's father left out with my son. They just went on a little cruise. My son loves cars. He loves to ride. So literally, they just went riding, and they were pulled over. The officer claimed that the tail light was out, but the tail light was working. So that's what made the situation so much more crazy. The tail light was working, and the officer pretty much he started an ego trip. He didn't want to tell my companion the reason for the stop. So they're like going back and forth and like, why am I being stopped? What is the purpose for the stop? He didn't want to tell him. He refused to tell him, and he insisted on him getting out of his car. So in that moment, he's telling him like, "Hey, I have an autistic child in the car. I don't need to get out of my car for you to tell me the reason for the stop. Could you just let me know what's going on? I can, you have what you need. I've given you my license. What is going on here? And he insisted on him get out of the car and didn't give a crap that he told him anything about having an autistic child, didn't care, could care less. And so I'm on the phone at this point trying to tell him, like, hey, watch our son. He's an elopement risk. He has autism. He could just get out of the car and just run out into the road or anything. If you're getting him out of the car, like, you have to be mindful. And he did not care. He called backup officers. The backup officers came. They snatched my companion out of the car. He was slammed down on the hood of the car, got some injuries, all of that. And he's a cancer center patient and he has disabilities with his heart. So the biggest thing with my companion was being slammed down caused him harm. And in terms of our autistic son being in the car, anything could have happened. Had he gotten scared, had he gotten too nervous, had he went into a meltdown on the side of the road like that, it could have ended fatal. And because of that, and even though we were trying to raise awareness, they didn't care. In fact, one of the officers, despite me telling the officer that my son was nonverbal, he still tried to ask him questions and question him. And it was just such a bad situation. The officer went on to saying that he he should talk to him and not to move. And then he's telling my companion, you need to be quiet and listen and stand still, stop resisting. But on the dash cam and body cam footage, he's seeing standing still. So it's just so many things. So with that situation, once we went through that, it was just like trauma. And
It was an eye opener for you,
yeah.
but I want you to look at it like this. I want you to look at it like God did that to you and your family for a reason. For now, you can push that narrative. Now you can use that trauma to help millions of families when this bill does pass, because we need that. And for the officer that showed no compassion, it proves my point. When I was talking to officers back then, they said we have training. I said, what does your training consist of? I want to know the training. And they was like, well, we have training. I said, how long was the training? 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, a week? And I never got the answer, because I'm pretty sure it's like a 20-minute training. I
When
don't
I
think
talk to, that's what they say. When I tried to reach out in my local area to get help for this, the school system was like, oh, we don't need, you probably should focus on law enforcement because the teachers, we don't need trainings. And I said, ma'am, says the person who's saying this, but did you forget I once had a child in the school system? And whenever one teacher wasn't there, y'all were calling me every time my son couldn't do this or didn't do that. And I said, in terms of the cops, y'all are saying you get training. But the last I checked, when I talked to an officer, he clearly told me the trainings that they get is a couple of pages and they look over it, they read over it, but it's nothing hands-on that would allow
it's
them
no
to
hands-on
be,
training.
and they
No.
don't have the tools that they need. Like, there are things out here that you can use other than a taser or a weapon. There are big big guards that you can use to keep the child safe, to restrain them in a safe way until they calm down.
But they
They
don't
don't
care.
they
They
don't
don't
care.
care. And it's
Mm-mm.
budget. Don't forget it's
Mhm.
budget.
It's
But
budget. They don't
mhm.
care. Some of them downright, it's either their ego, they could care less. The other ones, like you say, is the financial. And then the ones that do care, is not enough of them standing up to say, hey, we do need this. And so I just saw,
But
matter of
that's
fact,
that's what me and you come in at. That's
mhm,
where we go to the state capitol and we keep advocating, we keep pushing, we push that law because it's important. Like, this is not about this episode, but in 2016, a parent had got a bill passed for cameras to be in our classrooms in Georgia when you request it for special education. But a lot of people don't know about that law, right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
that's another thing. The public don't know about laws that are being passed. But I also blame the public for not educating themselves on that. But then again, I also blame the school systems, and it's a lot of red tape that they don't want us to know. But to make this fun, now it's time to switch it to the awesomely fun, keeping it real segment. So since this is season 2, I want to give you a question I haven't asked anybody, And my question is, guilty pleasure song. Is it either a show or song? Always have a fun laugh. So which one is it? Guilty pleasure,
Mm,
a show or a song?
I would say song.
So what's your guilty song? What's your song?
So I like multiple songs, but I'm gonna tell you how crazy it is with me. I'm a big music person, so I
Mhm.
go from gospel to R&B to
To
country
trap.
to trap music in a heartbeat. And a person would be like, "I know she wasn't listening to that, and she was just over there saying hallelujah." But I am just open with that, so I would have to say it's not a specific song, but it's just I'm just an all genre music woman, and my household go from one thing to the other, and you be like, she listening to that? Yeah, I like the beat. So
I'm
yeah.
so done with you. Okay. If you could have dinner with anyone, living or not, who would it be?
Oh, of course. Let's bring back grandparents from that have gone on, passed away for sure. And let's have
Mm.
those conversations. I would be curious to know what like my grandparents would feel about 2025 life. And even like my deceased father, like how would he feel about how life is today versus a couple years back, especially since the pandemic? How would they feel about the news? How would they feel about what's going on? Like, just going out to dinner, having that conversation would be very interesting.
Okay. Next one is describe yourself using a song. What's one song that perfectly describe you and why?
Um, you got the whole world in your hands. I think that's a good one. Um,
That's a good one.
and I
You
think
can't
it's
top that.
because I'm also an empath, so it's kind of like carrying that weight of a lot of things. Like you don't realize sometimes, like you, they call us super moms and super this and super that, but we're still resilient.
Okay. All right. So before I get into at this point, you know what? Nope. If you could change one thing about the way society views autism or neurodivergent or disability, what would it be? That's the bonus question before we get to my last two questions before we close out. So, you guys, I think she froze. So, I hope this episode, and I'm not closing out until you come back, but I hope this episode really shape your mind about going to your local state and advocating for what you have in mind to better the community around you. Because number one, when we really take time to like say, okay, well, we need this, we need that. Well, go to your local state capital, find your state representative, and I want you guys to advocate for new laws, get these bills into these Senate's hands, and sit down, figure out what do you need in your community to better society for your everyday life. It's amazing to see it as another mom with similar platform that is out here in my state advocating for change, advocating for first responders. Like I said, I am a mom, but I'm a black mom that have a black son that has autism. So I don't have the leverage of having my son pulled over and not having certain conversations with him. Unfortunately, I have to think about the future. So for her to take on this amazing mission for first responders, educators, and caregivers is needed in our community, is needed in our society, and not even that is being needed. We want it, but how many of us know that we need it? Like we need it. So I'm so excited that this episode is not even just changing the narrative, we are pushing a new narrative. We are creating the world that our kids live in. We are creating the world for the next generation, the generation after that. When I tell you the most awarding thing I have done this year, besides start Auesomely You magazine and start Auesomely You podcast, is go to my state capital, find me a state representative that believed in my mission, and work on a bill that may get passed. You know how amazing that was for me to submit something that could change my son or your kid or your niece or your cousin or your best friend or your best friend kid life forever. That was the most impactful thing I have ever done in my life. That wasn't about Crystal. It was about the narrative which I am creating for the next generation, for my son's generation, generation after that. So I'm waiting on Autism Mom Joy to come back. So while we wait on her, I'm going to get into some questions for we can just get to know your host. What makes me feel awesome you? I live in my truth and I walk in my purpose. I walk in my purpose every day. I pray about my purpose. What makes me awesome you is my son. But what also makes me awesome you is the platform I've created for so many to love and embrace, because I am awesome you, but I'm bleeding onto society what awesome you is. It is a way to shape the community. Okay, y'all. We're gonna go back to something else. How have your experience as an advocate changed the way that you view inclusion? Okay, so one experience that changed the way that I view inclusion and why I talk about inclusion so much is I lost my voice like 2 years ago. And when I lost my voice, my manager sent me home and he literally said to me, the manager at the time, he said to me that my voice was part of my uniform. I will never forget that moment, because in that moment, I couldn't talk, I couldn't respond, I did not have my voice. And from that point on, I knew my mission was to talk about job security, focus on how people who do not have a voice can and will be able to get a job. So I'm going to take a moment and I'll be right back. So I try to wait on Miss Joy. Now, this is season 2. So season 2, so that we had a little technical difficulty. So if you guys want to follow her, you go to Instagram. It's Autism Mom Joy. Follow her on Instagram, Autism Mom Joy. Name of her project is Project BAM Inc. So, but everything would be located in the bio. Not bio. Everything be located in the show notes for you guys can find her. Follow her mission, sign a petition. If you live in Georgia, I need you to sign her petition. I need you guys to show up when it's time to go to the Capitol and get both of these bills passed. I need you guys to show up when it's time to just be there. So with that being stated, thank you guys so much. Oh, she's back. She's back. She's back. I don't have to end. Okay, hold up. This is what happened with technology, you guys. So let's bring her back on the stage. I'm going to wait till her camera come on. But So when she come back, we're going to ask her some closing questions, and then we're going to be done. I hope you guys enjoy season 1, and I hope you guys are enjoying the kickoff of season 2. Season 2 is going to be, all I can say is get ready, get ready, get ready, because Auesomely You podcast and Auesomely You magazine is here to stay. Now, if you want to be featured in Auesomely You magazine, go to auesomelyumagazine.com. Joy, welcome back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, your camera is off.
Yeah, so I'm gonna log on through something else because for whatever reason everything just shut down on the computer, just completely shut down. So I'm gonna log on my phone and see if it can let me finish that way. That's
Okay,
weird.
you
I'm
can
like,
keep
what?
talking. Go ahead. Keep talking. You got it.
Just out the blue just shut down.
That, you know what that is? That's the devil saying, I
Goodness
don't,
gracious.
the devil saying, I don't want this message to come through.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay because we're still here. The listeners are going to listen. The people that are meant to get this message will still hear it. Because, fun fact, you guys, all my episodes, I do not edit. They are 100% organic because I feel like I want people to walk in their purpose and walk in their true self. So when I mess up, guess what? I mess up, and that's okay. I'm teaching people it's okay to mess up. It's okay if you have technical difficulties. Nothing in life is perfect. And so we're gonna wait till she come back, you guys. Um, do you have any like questions? How you want to end this podcast? Like, I need you to tell the viewers where can they find you. I can't remember the question I did ask you. It was a bonus question. That's what it was. So
Yeah,
you
we
can
were on I
answer the
think the
bonus.
third one.
Mm-mm, I don't remember the bonus question.
Send this to my
Here it
son.
is. Bonus question. So we're gonna redo this part, you guys. Even though I answered some of it, we're gonna go here. If you could change one thing about society, the way they view autism, disability awareness, and mental health, what would it be?
I would have to say that I would change the thought process that everyone is the same because no one person, whether it's a man, woman, whether they are children or adults, nobody is the same. And you have to just take every situation and treat people with kindness regardless of the disability, whether it be
Mm,
ADHD, autism, bipolar, PTSD, it doesn't matter. See people for who they are and treat people with compassion in the way you would treat any other human being. Because if you focus so much on the disability, you lose sight of who that person could be.
mm, I do agree with that. So before we get into my question is, can you tell
Okay.
the audience where to find you? I already did when you was off camera, but I want you to say it in your own words. How can the audience find you?
So you can find me, you can email any questions or concerns to projectbammovement@gmail.com. And then I am also going to be on Instagram under Autism Mom Joy. If you find me there. In terms of other platforms, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on TikTok, but it will not be the same type of content. On those platforms, we do cooking, we do laughing, we do FYP videos, what shoes I might like, what perfume I might like, just to kind of show people that you still can have life outside of your diagnosis. Like for me, I do a lot of advocating for mental health and autism, but also for lupus and spinal cord disorders and also for cancers and different things. But sometimes you want to step away from that and show people what you really like. And so in terms of that, on other platforms, sometimes people are not always comfortable with that, and you can get some negative feedback sometimes when you show your authentic self. Like, but people have to
Mhm.
understand you're still a human being. Everything about you
Yes.
is not just your diagnosis. And so that's what you will find on
It
the
is
other
a, it is a
platform.
it is a part of you, and people don't
Hmm.
understand that. I think to get into that, briefly. People think of it as you take it on an identity versus you bringing awareness and you are bringing acceptance to this topic. Now, before we wrap up, I will love for you to share affirmation that our listeners and our audience can take away from their conversation, something that reminds them to embrace their uniqueness. I always ask every guest to close us out with an affirmation from our awesome tribe can take hold to it. And, yeah. So, what is your affirmation for today?
So I would say choose to be resilient and not opting to always be.
Okay, say it one more time.
So I would say to choose to always be resilient and not focus on being strong. Because if
Okay.
you focus on being resilient, you're going to take on every task as it comes with grace. You're going to accept and embrace all the challenges as they come, and you're not going to beat yourself up or feel hopeless or feel down or feel like you got to save the world. But when you go in that task trying to be too strong, the minute that something doesn't go the way you intend for it to go, you go crashing down and you start beating yourself up because you're supposed to be this strong person, when in fact life is not about us being so strong or superhuman. It's about us being resilient.
I love that. So, Awesome Tribe, that affirmation would be located in the show notes, like always. Like always, I always ask you guys to sit in their shoes for 30 minutes. Today, we did go over due to technical difficulties. So, I want to say thank you for sitting in her shoes for these 45 minutes and embracing her story. And like I said, when she was gone, I want you guys to go to your state representative, your state capitals. I want you guys to start advocating for laws and bills for we as a community can be stronger. I also want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like this episode, comment below to bring her back. And then I want you guys to support her like always. Go follow her on Instagram or TikTok or any of the platforms she mentioned. And don't forget to follow Auesomely You podcast on Instagram. That's the only platform we have because I'm focusing on building one platform. But I'm your host, Crystal Jordan. Thank you so much for embracing season 2 and us kicking off with a bang and some technical difficulties. Until next time, bye y'all.
We rise, we shine, vowing voices, breaking the lines. This ain't just a podcast, this is a move. Celebrating every story, making room. For the ones who speak in ways they don't understand. For the hearts that love big. For the ones who take a stand. For the ones who see the world in a different way. We amplify your voice, let the world hear what you say. Every challenge, every win, every step you take. You are seen, you are loved, this is your space. No more silence, no more fear. Awesomely you, we're standing here. We are the voices. We are the